I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. Tender moments seem to go so fast. Reminisce, reminisce. I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. Love so strong it will never pass.
Love Park Connection.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, you guys.
How you doing? So today we are going to be discussing boundaries in your relationship. So, but before we get started, let us introduce ourselves. Welcome to Love Park Connection, where we talk about the pains and pleasures of life, love, and relationships. My name is Angela Parker.
And I'm Pierre Parker.
We are a husband and wife marriage and relationship coaching duo. We've been married 27 years, together for over 30 years, and it's our goal to help Black couples communicate more, love more, and build healthy, long-term relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining us. So, babe, what do you think about this topic, boundaries?
Boundaries. Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can decipher that in a relationship. You know, are we talking sexual boundaries?
Oh, there
Are
you
we-
go. There you go.
I mean, you know.
So what I'm talking about is it refers to the limits and guidelines and expectations that partners establish to define their emotional, physical, and mental comfort zones. So, of course, healthy boundaries are crucial for maintaining a respectful, supportive, and fulfilling partnership. So that's what I am talking about. So there's communication boundaries, respect boundaries, consent boundaries. So there's a number of boundaries that need to be discussed in a relationship and need to, have consent, and we need to respect each other's boundaries. Because even though we are married, even if you're married or in a long-term relationship or any relationship, that you need to respect that person's boundaries, because we are individual people and we all have boundaries that we don't want other people to cross, whether it's your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant, whatever. So basically, it starts with communicating, because as we know, communication, like we always say, communication is essential to a healthy relationship. And so your partner should be able to, and you both should discuss what your boundaries are, and then be able to know that your partner won't cross that boundary, and discuss it without fear of judgment or retaliation from your partner. So the first one, other than the communication part, well, communication is key, of course, but also the respect. So if you had a certain boundary, say, for instance, you didn't, you don't like someone walking up on you, or, that's just your boundary. It doesn't matter if it was with me or anybody else. And you didn't discuss that boundary with me, because also boundaries are fluid. We change. Our boundaries might change as we get older, as we've been in a relationship longer. So boundaries are fluid. They don't always necessarily stay the same. I'm sure there's some that are just like hardcore boundaries. Don't cross this. This is how it's been. This is how it's always going to be. But then you have some boundaries where it's going to be fluid. But if you had a boundary where you like, look, Angela, don't walk up on me. Don't put your hand in my face. That's just a trigger for me. Then I need to respect that boundary. But you have to also make sure that you've discussed that boundary with me so I understand and know.
Exactly.
And if it's changed, if it's somewhere down the line, it's changed where it's not a trigger for you anymore, then again, it's an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, then it's on that person to let the other person know that.
Right.
That
Exactly.
doesn't exist, or it's changed or whatever.
Exactly. Because we have to realize that respecting your partner's boundaries is essential. because we're different. We're individual people. Again, like I said, just because we're married doesn't mean you own me and I own you.
Yeah.
We're individuals, and we all have different things that trigger us, and it's just respectful you just need to respect that person's boundaries.
Yes.
So, what do you think about consent to boundaries? If I told you that, hey, this is my boundary, I don't want you crossing it, and then but you have to cross at some point. Maybe you have to cross a boundary. Say, for instance, example, I don't like when you I can't even think of a good boundary right now, but I don't like when you walk up on me. That's the best one I can think of right now. But I don't like when you walk up on me, and whether we're, walking up on me, especially in the heat of an argument.
Yeah.
But you feel it necessary. We're having a discussion, a heated discussion, but you want to come in for a hug. But again, that's walking up on me in the heat of an argument. What's your take on getting consent from me before you walk up and give me this hug? Maybe you just say, okay, I want to stop this argument, and you want to walk up on me, give me a hug, but you know that that's my boundary, especially in the heat of an argument.
Then I think at that point we might have to stop the argument to talk about that part of it. Talk about that, now I'm trying to do something to actually try to calm the argument down by giving you a hug. We need to figure out why you have this boundary set up about somebody walking up on you at any time, especially if it's a loved one.
Right.
So, but I need to work with you to try to get the consent and to let you know that this is something I'm trying to do from the heart to calm us both down.
Right. But you're saying that, yes, consent, you should get consent first.
Yeah.
Before you cross that person's boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's important, because if you don't get that consent, and you know very well that that's your partner's boundary, and you don't get the consent before you cross that boundary, then to me there's a breakdown either in communication or lack of respect, or or you're not listening, or you don't care, because I think it's really important to make sure that you are getting that consent.
Yeah.
Before you cross your partner's boundaries, and then talk about it. I mean, if that's a boundary where you're like, I'm not quite sure I understand, or is this, the boundary doesn't seem reasonable to you, then yes, that's a discussion. Yeah, you should have. You should talk about it, but you still need to respect that boundary of your partner.
Exactly.
And that men and women, it goes on both sides. It's not just men that need to respect it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be smush facing your man,
No.
and that's his boundary.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Don't smush face.
Don't smush face.
I don't like the smush face.
So what about emotional boundaries? Do you know it? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
So when I say emotional boundaries, it pertains to the level of emotional involvement and support that your partner's comfortable with, it giving and receiving.
Yeah.
So emotional boundaries could be where I cry a lot on, when we have a discussion, and then you see that and you make a comment, or you ridicule, you're crossing those emotional boundaries. If that's the type of person I am, or your partner has a certain something that really triggers them emotionally, and you do that on purpose to trigger, you're crossing those emotional boundaries.
Yeah.
So you need to, we all need to respect, that boundary as well. And again, it goes back to communication, because if your partner doesn't know that's a boundary for you, then hey,
Yeah.
and they cross it, you can't get mad because you never express that to them.
Yeah.
So it's important that that we respect each other's space, even when it pertains to emotional boundaries.
Yeah.
So any of you got any emotional boundaries that I've crossed?
Emotional boundaries. I don't know. I'm a caveman, so I don't know.
What does that mean? What does that have to do with anything?
Caveman, we don't really we don't recognize the emotions like that.
Oh my gosh. There you go. That Gen X. That Gen X mentality, huh?
Yeah. I
You
can't
know?
think of an emotional boundary right now that I think I have. I can't think of one right now. You could probably tell me more than I could. So
Yeah, there is, but I don't think we can discuss them on YouTube. Some of your emotional boundaries, it might get us kicked off. So this is one for you, physical boundaries. Since you being a karate man, what's
put my business all out there.
But so when we talk about physical boundaries,
Physical boundaries would be somebody walking up on you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And how would you react being a karate man?
Well, you make sure you keep some distance. Pretty much, that's. But if we're talking about a relationship, as far as physical boundaries, I think in most relationships, the physical boundary part of it is. In most relationships, the physical boundary part of it, I think, is probably almost out the window as far as that now.
Really?
Well, meaning as far as, because I'm thinking of the walking up on you and all of that type of stuff.
But
because you want that in a relationship.
Yeah, but what? Yeah, you want that, but there still needs to be like.
Now, if it's going to be physical boundaries, as far as physical, pain or somebody coming to hurt you, that's different.
No, but what if you're in a heated discussion?
Yes.
And someone and I just don't want you touching me right now because I'm upset.
And that's understandable.
Then that's that physical boundary.
And yes, you don't cross it.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to get.
But you talk about it.
No, I think you do need to talk about it. You need to give that person. You always need to have personal space.
Yeah.
You can't always expect just because you're always maybe a touchy, and this is an example, you're always a touchy-feely person, that your partner is going to be that way because they might not be. So you need to respect that space of your partner. I mean, don't get ridiculous with it. I don't want you touching me at all, but you need to respect that space.
Yeah.
For your partner, because again, we are all individuals and we still have the right, even in a relationship, to not want to be touched at a certain time, or maybe we're angry and we just need to we need to have some space. But you need, and you need to respect that in a relationship. Yeah. So, partners should be aware of each other's boundaries to avoid making each other uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, here's a good one. Financial boundaries.
Ooh.
I mean, discussing and agreeing upon financial matters, especially when you come to sharing expenses, savings, and individual spending habits.
Yeah, you got to have the boundaries for that.
You do. You do.
Some people will go overboard with the spending, and some people will be too frugal with the spending.
Yes.
So, what you trying to say?
Well, you're only frugal unless it comes to music equipment.
Well,
yeah, Then you're not frugal. Then you don't have no problem spending, huh?
I spend stuff for the house.
You too. You do, but you still,
Well.
Yeah, exactly.
I buy you stuff sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't buy you clothes and stuff like that.
No, I'm not a big clothes person. But
you just picky.
No, stop.
You'd be like, oh, baby, that's nice.
You're getting off topic. You're getting off topic.
Oh.
We said financial boundaries.
But okay.
I know some people, they share everything financially, and that's fine if that's what works for you. But if you're in a relationship where you like to have things separate, then there needs to be that respect and that understanding that, hey, or an agreement. Okay, this is like this is your account, this is my account. We come together, we do this, and that. But having that boundary, and you don't ask, don't ask your partner what they're spending their money on necessarily.
Yeah.
It's again, it has to be an agreement.
Yeah.
Both partners have to agree on how they want to handle their financial boundaries.
Yeah.
So, that's another touchy subject that, couples can have a hard time, coming to an agreement upon and even discussing. That's a hard topic to discuss.
Yeah.
That's why it's better to when you first get into a relationship, hammer all that out. And again, everything changes over time. So what you did 10 years ago might not be applicable to now. So just respecting those financial boundaries.
Yeah. I think with boundaries, I think most people in a relationship, I don't know if they actually necessarily say boundaries all the time. I think it's more of a understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still boundaries.
It is boundaries.
But I know I think that's more of a new I'm not gonna say newfangled because that sounds so old. But it sounds
boundaries is new.
Well, no, I'm not saying boundaries is new, but in this context, I think it has become more I can't think of the word, but younger couples I think are using it more than, couples of our age when we talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
I think it's more, I don't know. I'm not sure of the word, but I just think it's more widely used now.
Yeah.
Saying these are boundaries, don't cross my boundaries. Yeah. Whereas before it was just, okay, this is what we're going to agree upon. This is how we're going to handle this.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to, as we would call it, more respect. I think, you respect this about me or how I handle this, and I respect you. Exactly. I think now they just more say, don't cross these boundaries. These are my boundaries.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a thing about that. This whole.
What are you saying? Boundaries? Are you talking specifically in relationship?
Yeah, and the terminologies. It's just boundaries to me. Just sounds so. It makes it sound more business oriented and not necessarily relationship. Meaning not because I know a business. You have business partners and all that stuff. Yes, stuff like that. But as far as marriage and relationship like that, to me, when you say boundaries, now all of a sudden it just makes it to where it's almost you guys. It's like an agreement that you guys are a part of now.
But it is an agreement, isn't it?
It's an agreement, but
you just don't like the word boundaries. It sounds so.
It sounds so corporate to me. It's just it's just like look, we got to understand it. I understand she likes her money the way that she likes to do her money that way, and I got mine this way. I understand that she don't want me to walk up on her like to certain things.
Right.
She has her boundaries. There's boundaries. She has a boundary. She don't want me to walk up on her like that. That's her boundary. That's her, damn that.
Anthony.
Oh, well, see, they're going to be like, who is Anthony?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pierre. Sorry. I'm giving out your government name.
Give out my government name. What's wrong with you, girl? That's my boundary.
There you go. That's one of your boundaries.
That's my
don't
boundary.
Be telling my corporate. Don't be covering my government name.
Tell my government name that you done crossed my boundary.
I sure
Take that
did.
left foot from over my boundary line.
I'm sorry. I sure did.
Step back.
So that's one of your boundaries. I wonder what that boundary that would fall under.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Good question. That's a good question.
Okay.
That's my whole thing about the boundary thing. Certain things that just, nowadays, there's a reason why so much, couples are so having so many problems nowadays because it's just too many things that
it's not simple.
It's not simple.
Relationships aren't simple, but I think they made it more complex with all these extra words.
Exactly.
Because then you got to figure, okay, well, what do you mean by, am I crossing your, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know, but still, we still have, there's still for today's topic, it's boundaries.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I hear you. I hear you. We're from the old school, but I understand what you're saying.
And, you know,
So you might not like this one, social boundaries.
See.
So with that, but it just means respecting each other's interactions with friends.
Okay.
So I guess we could say, if we're going out, like, okay, you have a crazy boyfriend. I'm giving an example. You have a crazy boyfriend. You going out with your girlfriends, hanging out with your girlfriends, and this crazy boyfriend is jealous, or crazy girlfriend is the jealous type. And you're hanging out with your girlfriend's boyfriend, you know, your guy friends, and your girlfriend boyfriend walks up or follows you and is just, you know, because what are you doing? What you doing? That's social boundaries. Like, look, I'm hanging out with my girls. I'm hanging out with my, you know, my fellas.
Okay.
Why are you following me? Of course, that's trust issues. But we're talking about boundaries right now. There's those boundaries where you're like, hey, no, what are you doing? You're crossing, you know, basically that shouldn't have to be discussed. That shouldn't be one of them boundaries you have to discuss. It's just being respectful.
Being respectful, and you understand.
And you what?
Is understanding.
You have an understanding that I'm hanging out with my friends. Why are you following? You know, to me, again, that's a trust issue. But that's we're talking about the social boundaries of a relationship. Okay. That, you know, sometimes, you know, just like you have your friends that you hang out with, and sometimes, you know, I don't want to hang out. But you have your friends, and I'm not going to, you know, necessarily cross those social boundaries.
Yeah.
But you have some people are like, no, I want to know where she is all the time. Why are you hanging out with him? I don't like your friends. I don't like your friends. Why? I don't know. I just don't like your friends. I don't want you hanging out with your friend, hanging out with those people. Yeah. And then that's crossing a social boundary. Okay. So, you know, and then sometimes there might be a reason why you know, your significant other is saying, well, why are you hanging out with somebody so much?
That's a whole nother show.
Oh, here we go.
Here
we go. Here we go with your another show.
So many different reasons why that could be.
Anyway. So those are some of the boundaries that, you know, there's many more, but those are just a few of the boundaries that, you know, we have to be aware of. We have to have open discussions about. We have to be respectful. And I know you say, what were you saying? Not boundaries. What was your word for it? Understandings. So, you know, for the old school, understanding. Let's get an understanding.
Let's get this straight.
Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight.
Yeah, let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. And after we get it straight, look, let me go in the house and eat a sandwich.
Oh, gosh.
That's right.
Anyway, so any other words of wisdom you want to give about boundaries, understandings?
Yeah, that's this. I don't really have a whole lot on this one, like I said, because this is all the whole, you know, boundary thing. Boundaries. Look. Yeah,
you old school.
I'm old school.
He's old school.
Old.
You're not that old, baby. But I know we have a different terminology for boundaries.
Yeah.
As Gen X's. But anyway, so again, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please, you know, leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We are building our channel, so please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification for new videos. Sign up for our email list at loveparkconnection.com for upcoming courses and pre-sale of my book, 30 Years and Counting. I'm looking to get that out by November. So, yeah, please sign up for our email list, again, at loveparkconnection.com. And then we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep.
All right, baby.
All right,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.